welcome to another of my layout process videos. Today this video is slightly longer than others that I've made, only because I started out with one idea, and as you will see as I go through, everything gets totally scrapped. All of my ideas get scrapped and I end up with a page that just wasn't in my mind at all. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. So this is how I started off. I knew the photos I wanted, and I wanted to use the pocket from the August kit from Lottie Loves Paper. So all of this is either kit or add-ons from the August choices. So as you can see, I've taken the zigzag sort of pattern on the paper and I'm just cutting it along that shape, as I had an idea to use that as a sort of like horizontal element of the page. But I can't quite get it to work. As you can see, I fiddle, I mess around with it, and I just don't feel it working there. But trying it anyway, trying different things. In the end, I obviously don't end up using it, but I will use it on another layout. At some point there will be another layout that it will suit. So I've picked up the other blue paper in the add-on kit, which is the crepe paper Willow Lane collection, which I do love this. The flowers and the background is lovely. I'm just trying to sort of pick up a bit of the blue in the wine photo, but it's not quite working for me. And I've sped this up a little bit because I decided to fussy cut the flowers, some of the flowers out of the other piece of paper that I've cut off, because they make great embellishments behind the photos or around the page. So the photos that are featuring in this layout today are from a winery tour and tasting experience that Rob's sister had given us for Christmas 2016, and we kept putting it off last year. There was always something coming up, which meant we couldn't make it. It's not that local to us, it's in Henley-on-Thames, so it was going to be a weekend job. So this year we decided, let's just book it and do it. So we booked a weekend camping at a campsite, a really nice campsite just down the road from the winery, and we did the tour and tasting as part of a group there. It was a really nice place, and afterwards we sat out in the courtyard and had a bottle of their wine with the picnic that we'd packed for that day, and just soaked in the atmosphere up there. It was really, really nice. And then we cycled back down through Henley, and they were sort of preparing for, it was the Henley races the week after, so everything on the river there was quite a lot going on the river, and it was quite nice just to sort of cycle along by the river and watch all the preparations going on and just take our time going back to the campsite. It was a really nice weekend, and so just thought that it would be nice to actually put the two photos onto the one layout. So as you can see, I've worked out that I can actually get one of the photos in the pocket itself, which wasn't my original plan, but it seems to work, and just sort of like gives a bit of a pop of a colour in the cutouts on the pocket themselves. So I've decided to use the journaling card that was in the pocket to mat the photo on, and then I've cut out a piece of paper to use as the journaling card. but as you will see later on, it gets changed again. So this is just one of those layouts where I had something, as I said, something totally different in my mind when I first started it, and how it turns out is nothing like that, and the colours and everything else. But I'm really happy with the way it actually did turn out in the end. So I'm not happy with what's on the page at the moment. So I grabbed my my Bright Life pad from the Jen Hadfield collection, and I find there's quite a few sort of like navy, blues and gold foils in the papers there that go with the photos a lot better than what I'd originally chosen. So I'm just flipping through, I'm just having a look at the cut apart ones just to see if there was anything that was sort of relevant on there, and then just picking out a few of the papers that sort of catch my eye that I think will go nice with the thing. Here we are. This is what I meant by I changed my mind with the journaling card inside the pocket, and I end up sticking it on the gold foiled flowers, and then it's also then plain white on the back so that I could use that for my journaling, so I don't have any on the page this time. And just using a bit of foam just to add a bit of dimension to the back of the photo, to the photo on the top. Although it is going to have like a little bit of dimension like going on top of the pocket, I just thought it looked quite nice having just a little bit more. And this is where the page actually starts to take shape properly. And I decide I don't like it in the centre, and I move everything down to the corner, so I've got a nice lot of white space there. And I decide just to add a little pop of colour because it's quite sort of like navy and gold, but with the colours coming through from the wine inside there, I thought it just needed just a little bit of colour. As you can see, I've fussy cut a couple more of the flowers out of the crepe paper, but I just sort of like skipped through that because it was another bit of fussy cutting that I didn't think needed to be in the video. So I'm actually happy now with what I've got, the papers I've got and everything else. So I'm just going to stick it down. But then decide just before I actually do stick it to the paper that I'm just going to add some splats just to finish off the sort of like almost sort of vintagey look, I suppose it was by then. So I've chosen a rose gold and a gold ink from my stash there. So first of all, rose gold. And then I go to use the gold. It's a Winsor and Newton one, and all of the actual gold bit has sort of like settled in the bottom, and it just wasn't mixing properly. And it's a really nice ink, that one. It's even when you sort of like first put it on the page, it still looks sort of fluid. The gold sort of the gold flakes or whatever they are sort of like move around in the actual ink. And then I decide, as like there's quite a bit of gold foiling on there, I'm just going to add a little bit of sort of like faux gold foiling to the flowers, just to just so that they sort of like pop a little bit as well, otherwise they could sort of end up being quite flat on the page. So just while I'm sort of finishing this off, I'll let you know my next video, or 2 videos maybe, are going to be I've got plans to make my travel album for our upcoming trip to Italy at the end of this month. I tend to make a mini album from scratch, but I've decided, as I took the plunge yesterday and made my first ever traveller's notebook layout, that I'm going to make a traveller's notebook from scratch and use the August kit to fill it with papers and ephemera before I go, so that I don't have to take too much loose stash with me, which is what I generally do with a mini album, but I'm going to do it with a traveller's notebook this time. So they will be coming up hopefully within the next week, because I've only got 2 weeks to go until we're off. So as you can see, that the gold on the flowers just helps lift it just a little bit. And then we've got these gorgeous stickers, which are also Willow Lane, and I'm just using a few of those on the white just to sort of like bring out a little bit more of the gold in the papers and around it. As I said, I didn't want to add, I've got a pop of colour in there, but quite like the navy and gold, as the sign on the winery was quite sort of vintagey anyway. So like too many modern colours, if you like, or bright colours would drown out the photo itself. So I'm just looking through the other stickers before I decide to put my title on, using the Brightside Alpha that came with the kit as well. I quite like the size of this Alpha because the letters are just a little bit narrower than some of the ones you get, so you get a lot more letters actually for your money, because there's a lot more on the page than what there usually is, because there's only usually sort of like 3 or 4 of each letter, whereas here there's a lot more of each letter. As you can see, I paused for quite a bit then. I was just sort of like double checking myself, because usually an Alpha has some question marks in it, and I was just like, am I sure I'm actually looking right? And there isn't any, but no, they've put lots of exclamation marks in, and there aren't actually any question marks in this Alpha, which doesn't really bother me that much. It was just because I'm using sort of like a play on the words of why not. Usually you have a bit of a question mark in there, but I'm quite happy how that turned out. And there we are. Look, that just shows you that the photo comes out. And there we are. Thank you very much for watching another of my videos. I will be back soon.